My Govanim Melanin. Before I get into the meat and potatoes of the Silmarillion, I want to give a brief introduction to the channel and what to expect of the videos to come. This channel is dedicated to J.R.R. Tolkien's world, its history, its legends, and its people. Tolkien was an interesting man with a fascinating mind. As many of us know, he was a philologist and invented fictional languages. It is important to note that it is these languages that give rise to the stories that we all admire. It should also be noted, perhaps even warned, that there are many words that Tolkien invented that we will run across. For example, what we call God in English, Tolkien calls Iluvatar in Quenya, one of his Elvish languages. What we call Earth, he calls Arda. Now, my channel isn't dedicated to the languages of Middle-earth, but its stories, so I'll avoid diving into the etymology except where I think it's interesting or important. In truth, we could translate our English language into Sindarin or Quenya without too much difficulty, but it is this real depth that births Tolkien's world. The Silmarillion is probably a well-known book, but probably one that is not well read. Most Tolkien fans that I know say things like, "Oh, I love Lord of the Rings, but I just couldn't get into the Silmarillion," or "The Silmarillion reads too much like the Bible," or "It's too boring." I understand where they're coming from, and so I want to dedicate a portion of this channel to breaking down the Silmarillion into digestible videos that you can enjoy and hopefully inspire you to read the Silmarillion for yourself. So, what is the Silmarillion? The main body of the Silmarillion details the fall of the most gifted kindred of the elves, their exile from Valinor, home of the gods, their return to Middle-earth, and their struggle with the enemy. Tolkien describes the Silmarillion in a single sentence in a letter to Milton Waldman. Quote, "The Silmarillion is the war of the exiled elves against the enemy." The Silmarillion gets its name from the word Silmarilli, which is Quenya for radiance of pure light, which are, as Tolkien called them, the primeval jewels. The stories and characters in the Silmarillion are interwoven with the fate and significance of these jewels. We'll get into precisely what they are, where they came from, and why they're so important in later videos. Just keep in the back of your mind that they are central to the happenings in this history. We will cover all of the notable stories in as great of detail as possible. These stories will include the story of Beren and Luthien, the Elf Maiden, the children of Hurin, the fall of Gondolin, and several tales of Arendelle the Wanderer, who is a pivotal character in this history. Of course, we will talk about Sauron, the One Ring, and his fall at the end of the Second Age. We will also encounter numerous characters that we are all familiar with and uncover histories that only can be found by reading Tolkien's Legendarium. This is a tale that begins with gods and fallen angels and ends with men, elves, dwarves, and not the least of all, hobbits. We will begin with the creation of the world, Ainu Lindula, the music of the Ainur.